to work on some of my smaller trees. So this first tree is actually a Barbados cherry, and I've been letting it grow unrestricted for a while, and it's been in need of a prune for quite a long time. So I'm finally getting down to it, and hopefully we can turn this into something a little bit more presentable, not necessarily for a show, but just for its own sake. So just taking a look at it, the branches kind of naturally weep, and I think that's just a trait of these sorts of plants. So um, what I'm hoping to do is basically just keep everything condensed, kind of pick out a few branches and just let it grow out some more. The trunk needs to thicken up still, so that's another reason why I want to just kind of, again, just select the appropriate branches, and after it's let it grow from there. A bit of dieback in terms of the actual leaves, so I'm hoping that maybe by pruning back down to these little buds, hopefully some other dormant buds will start sprouting out. What I'm also concerned about, well, actually mostly unsure about, is if this branch is going to live. I went ahead and just cut it all the way back past where leaves were, so we'll see what happens. But I thought just by doing this will help establish just a little bit of structure for the time being. This is by no means finished or even anywhere near finished. I do appreciate the root base that's already starting to form here, and probably next year I'll repot the tree once it shows a bit more growth and once I really know what I'm doing with it. So this next thing that I want to work on is, well, this next tree that I want to work on is a Ficus salicaria, also known as a willow leaf ficus. And this is actually a root cutting, and in the bonsai club that I'm in right now, I'm kind of the guy that, you know, if you're not sure what to do with your plants, I just kind of offer to take them off your hands. Mostly because I'm fairly new and I kind of want to learn more and more about the different plants that are out there. Now this plant though is pretty popular in our club. There are lots of really pretty trees that people have been making and training and stuff like that with this species, this Ficus salicaria. So it's becoming something that I'm really fond of. And this is my first one, my first Ficus salicaria. So this is a root cutting and it's really difficult to figure out what's going to happen, but I wanted to take today as just an opportunity to basically do some branch selection, and we'll see kind of what comes out of it. So there's just kind of a mess of different branches just growing off, and actually during the winter it was a little bit rough, so I was just really letting it grow to kind of see where it is. And it's been growing very vigorously now, especially in this latter part of the summer. So I wanted to cut back just a bit so I can kind of give it a chance to really focus on a few branches. So there isn't much left, but what I decided to do was to basically think of this possibly as the beginning of a cascade. I've seen a few root cuttings of ficus trees where basically they'll train them as cascades, especially because the roots kind of go in all different directions. So this is going to be probably the cascading branch. I want to let it just keep on growing just so I can thicken up a bit more before I really probably wire it to kind of set a little bit more of a motion. And then with this branch right here, I actually want to see if I can get it to back bud a little bit lower. And then maybe I can develop some form of a canopy or something. It's just the start of this project. I also decided to cut off a chunk of this root to see if maybe by just letting it heal over, it'll kind of look a little bit more tapered, and it can probably blend in a little bit more at this juncture here with the rest of the tree. So before that was actually the biggest challenge of this, was that basically it was a stump, a really thick stump with all these branches going all over the place, but the stump itself was growing backwards, reverse taper. So I wanted to see if I can just untrain it a little bit more and kind of make it make a little bit more sense as well. The next plant that I want to work on is this forest planting of Ficus microcarpa cuttings. I believe these are also off of my ginseng ficus. So basically, it's just a planting of 3 different cuttings, and I wanted to train it originally, possibly as just, I don't know, 3 trees or something, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm definitely going to repot it, and I think I'm going to try to train it a little bit more like a clump style. So I'm going to try to bring these trunks a little bit closer, and you know, clump styles have been a little bit more inspiring to me lately, especially because there's a few trees that are growing in these larger expanses of land. Out here in the western suburbs and southwestern suburbs of Houston, there are just these large lots that are just vacant, and every once in a while there'll be a tree that just grows uncontrolled, and it's just this really spectacular looking clump style. So I think I can probably emulate that a little bit more with some of the trees that I have. Alright, so the last thing I want to do is to go ahead and do a little bit of styling on this tree. It repotted fairly easily, so I'm glad about that. Basically, I wanted to kind of just have this, basically get the branch structure to be a little bit more open. So I'll do a little bit of wiring, a little bit of clipping, and we'll see. So it turned out that I needed to prune this a lot more harshly than I thought at first. There was quite a bit of strange things going on in the branches, especially in the main one, which actually had a huge lump in the middle. So I decided to go ahead and just get rid of it. And we'll train this as the leader, basically. Hopefully there'll be some back budding. I'm hoping to have some back budding along this especially. And then this one hopefully will grow up to be a much better focal point of the tree. So there's a view from, I think, the back. This is still, there's so many possibilities still with this tree, so with this planting. So I'm gonna go ahead and just let it recover, let it grow, and we'll kind of catch up with it later.